there, my name is Hideout and welcome to the Pantheon, and I can barely contain my excitement. It's Wilson, refined Grizzly. He is a gentleman after all. 2 mana for a 2/2 bear warrior. It can't be countered. Vigilance, Reach and Trample. And Ward 2, so you can't target it unless you pay 2, or at least your opponents can. So nice bit of inbuilt protection there. And then finally, we can choose a background. So Wilson, Refined Grizzly, you can combine it with a legendary enchantment that is a background, and that can also be your commander. So you can make this into a Gruul commander, or, you know, a Golgari or something like that. And I have chosen Golgari. Because when I think of Wilson, Refined Grizzly, what's his past? Well, he is a cultist of the absolute. You know, bears often are. But this is an enchantment background that's legendary. 1 black, commander creatures you own, get +3/+C, have flying, death touch, and ward pay 3 life. But at the beginning of the end step, or your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. So, you know, he's a hungry bear. But this is really cool because I want to build a sort of aggro deck with this. 2 mana commander. We play this at any point. Well, it's now a 5/5 with Vigilance. Is it Vigilance? Yes, Vigilance, Reach, Trample, Flying, and Death Touch. And 2 different variants of Ward. That's awesome, you know. It's pretty cool as a commander. So this is the background I'm going for Wilson, you know, the gentleman that he is. You know what else is gentlemanly? Subscribing to this channel. So come and join me as we journey further and further into the madness that is Commander. Please subscribe. I will love you forever. And without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5. So what have we got? Well, I want to build an aggro deck, so it's going to be based around auras, and Careful Cultivation is a really cool one. 3 mana for an aura. Enchant artifact and creature. As long as the enchanted opponent is a creature, it gets +1/+3 and has reach, hey, keywords, and tap to add double green. So that's a nice bit of ramp on our commander because it has vigilance. But there's more. Our commander likes to sacrifice creatures, so we can channel this, so you discard it from your hand. Discard it, create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap to add a green. So instead of sacrificing our commander, we can just sacrifice that. And it's a nice bit of ramp anyway. It's instant speed as well, and it's uncounterable. There's so many things to love about this. But this section is all about the auras because our, you know, at least one half of our commander, the background, is an enchantment, which might come up later. But auras are really good, and Elephant Guide is incredible. Our bear needs a guided elephant to take him through the absolute cultism. But it's a great aura. 3 mana for an aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3. Ooh, that's pretty good. Then when it dies, you get a 3/3 green elephant creature token onto the battlefield. So again, another way of making tokens to give our sacrifice trigger at the upkeep something to sort of sacrifice to instead of our commander. Then we've got Ancestral Mask. We're playing a lot of enchantments, so this is fantastic and can easily end games. 3 mana, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. That's not just auras, that's all enchantments. So our cultist of the absolute will buff this by +2/+2, and it's everyone's enchantment. So our opponents, if they have a lot, well, this card can single-handedly just win the game. Fantastic. Then, massive aura here, Eldrazi Conscription. 8 mana, Eldrazi Aura. Enchant creature, it gets +10/+10, has Trample and Annihilator 2. Ooh, annihilating bears. Yeah, sounds quite good, doesn't it? So, a great aura. Yes, it's expensive, but our commander, well, we can make him tap for mana, and we're playing green. We're going to have enough mana. Or we should do anyway. Then there's Colossification if we just want to make a ridiculously large bear. 7 mana for an aura, enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. That's not great, but enchanted creature gets +20/+20. Dear God, that is ridiculous. Maybe you want to play with flash or something. Maybe there is a card that gives enchantments flash. And then, you know, when you attack, you can flash this in, give it +20. It doesn't matter if it's tapped because it's always tapped to attacking. Then natural growth. This is an aura, but it's an enchantment which helps buff up our commander and make it massive. It's 5 mana for an enchantment at the beginning of each combat. Double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. Ooh, that's pretty good. And we're going to speak about ways to make a lot of tokens, so potentially we could have a nice big token army. And then to finish off, we've got exponential growth. Not an aura, but it is a good game-winning play. Double green, double X for a sorcery. Until end of turn, double target creature's power X times. So if X is 3, well, we double our commander's power 3 times. So it goes from 5 to 10 to 20. That's ridiculous. Can easily fly in there for the win. What a bear we have. So those are a nice couple of ways to sort of buff up our commander. And I don't feel too bad playing auras because our commander has that protection in ward. That brings me on to number 4. And at number 4, we've got our Gothian Enchantress. So as I said, half of our commander, the enchantment half, is an enchantment. So let's take advantage of this with our Gothian Enchantress. 2 mana, 0/1, human druid with Shroud. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. Oof, I love drawing me some cards. This is great. We can play this before we play the 1 mana black enchantment, draw a card, and then this is potentially something that we could sacrifice to keep our commander around. Works fantastically. Viridian Enchantress is worse in every way, but it's still very good. 3 mana, 0/2, whenever you play an enchantment spell, you draw a card. Wonderful. No built-in protection with Shroud, but you could put auras on this potentially if you wanted to. Then we've got the Kami of Transience. 2 mana for a 2/2 with Trample. It's a spirit. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a 1/1 counter on Kami of Transience. At the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment is put into a graveyard from the battle for this turn, you may return Kami of Transience from your graveyard to your hand. So potentially this is a way that we could, recur a creature. We could sacrifice this, play an enchantment, get it back to our hand, and ooh, we've looped it. Taking advantage of that, and every time we play an enchantment, this is growing itself. Then we've got Herald of the Pantheon. Really, really cool card. Yes, we can't reduce our commander enchantment because it's only 1 mana, but all of our auras will be reduced. And whenever we cast an enchantment spell, we'll gain 1 life, which, is pretty good in my opinion. Getting life or incidental gain of life is very nice. And I've messed up the setup for this, so there's a couple of blank cards that you yourself could fill in with these suggestions. There are a couple of more enchantresses that you could play. Enchantress of Presence is one, so that is a cool card to play. And that brings me on to number 3. And number 3, well, we've got Dreampod Druid, and this is about making tokens. 2 mana for a 2/2 human druid. At the beginning of each upkeep, if it is enchanted, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. So yes, we want to generally be, buffing our commander up, but this is great because we can make a ton of tokens. It's every upkeep, so not just ours, every single opponent's upkeep, we're going to be getting a 1/1 that we can sacrifice to our commander. So putting a little enchantment onto this, not the end of the world. Great card, really, really cool. Then Ophiomancer, not enchantress based, but it's wonderful for making tokens. 3 mana for a human shaman at the beginning of each upkeep. Hey, there's that each again. If you control no snakes, create a snake. So this allows us to always have a snake around to sacrifice. Wonderful. And the snake has death touch, so might come up in a bit with one of the other sections on the list here. Then we've got Infernal Genesis, 6 mana for enchantment at the beginning of each player's upkeep. That player puts the top card of his or her graveyard into his or her library into his graveyard. He or she then puts X 1/1 black minion creature tokens into play, where X is that card's converted mana cost. So I like this because it's an enchantment. It does help everyone else, and your opponent's having blockers for our commander is not great, but trample is a thing, and it's also going to have flying. So really, really awesome card there. Then we've got Lolth Spider Queen, a really cool planeswalker for making tokens. 5 mana 4/4. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a loyalty counter on Lolth. 0, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. That's pretty good, nice way of generating advantage. -3, create 2/1 black spider creature tokens with Menace and Reach. Menace and Reach. And it's a 2-1. Ah, 2 of them. Oh, really quite good. And then -8, you get an emblem with, whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage this turn, by one or more creatures you control, if that player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose 8 life. They lose life equal to the distance. So they always lose 8. You know, spiders, 8 legs. Ooh. Really, really cool. And helps with the sort of token synergy that we're going for. Nice. And, you know, if we do end up losing our commander too many times, we don't want to cast it. Just having loads of tokens on there that could potentially deal lots of damage with the ultimate is a nice way to win. So a nice couple of enchantment cards. No, it isn't. Token cards there that work well with this deck. Which brings me on to number 2. And at number 2, well, we've got Mindblade Render. 2 mana for Azra Warrior. And this section is all about the creature types of our commander. Because it's a bear warrior. Oh, and whenever your opponents are dealt combat damage, if any of that damage was dealt by a warrior, our commander, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Now, this isn't the best card draw, but I thought it was really cool because I've always looked at this card and thought, ooh, that's nice. Look at the fingers, they're all purple. Really, really sweet. But this is a genuine deck where we could potentially use the card, so I had to include it. Then we've got Obsidian Battle Axe, 3 mana for a warrior equipment. Our commander's a warrior. Whoa. Great creature has +2/+1 and has haste. So another keyword to add on to the pile. Whenever a warrior creature comes into play, you may attach Obsidian Battle Axe to it. Equip for 3. So this is nice. It's like a good way of giving our commander haste and a little incidental buff. And it fits in with a sort of warrior theme we might have. Then there's Ayula, Queen Among Bears. I don't know if you've ever looked at the bears in Magic, you know, just what they are. They're not very good, but this is a good one. 2 mana 2/2 bear. Whenever another bear enters the battlefield under your control, choose 1. Put 2/1/1 counters on target bear. That's pretty good, you know, incidentally makes our commander a 4/4 straight away. Or target bear you control fights target creature you don't control. Ooh, fighting. Oh, that might be quite good. But this is wonderful, a great bear to have. I can barely believe it. Done that joke before. Then we've got Werebear. Ramp is always important in a deck, and if it fits a theme, even better. 2 mana for a human bear druid. Tap to add a green, and threshold, it gets +3/+3 as long as 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Hey, 2 mana 4/4 that taps for mana. Really nice, really nice. Love it. And those are a sort of selection. I'll be honest, the sort of tribal aspects for this card, not great, but if you want a low power deck that's sort of on theme, go for it, you know. You can do you. And that brings me on to number 1. And we just talked a bit about fighting, you know, having a scrap in the schoolyard. Spinning wheel kick is a maneuver I often used in primary school, you know, I'd spinning wheel kick into the teacher or something. I jest. This is a wonderful card with our commander because if we have the absolute thing, the black enchantment out, our commander has Death Touch. Double green, double X sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. This is a mini board wipe with our commander if we have any creature with Death Touch. Awesome. It's so, so cool. And imagining, you know, Wilson, the cultist of the absolute, doing a spinning wheel kick, ridiculous. And I love it. It's just so, so cool. It's wonderful. Wonderful. Really cool card to play. Then, similarly, we've got Inscription of Abundance. 2 mana for an instant, kicker of 3, so you can pay 5 mana in total. Choose 1. If the spell is kicked, choose any number instead. Yes, I'll have it. Put 2/1/1 counters on target creature. Okay, nice buff to our commander. Target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Ooh. And target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So again, a great removal spell using our commander. We can buff our commander and then just slam in to someone else's creature. They die from Death Touch. We swing in for some damage afterwards. Awesome card. Then there's Primal Might. green and X, another great way to end games potentially. Target creature you control gets +X until end of turn. Then it fights up to one target creature you don't control. So this is a game-winning buff and also a removal spell in one. Ooh, amazingly good card. Then we've got Ulven Ward Tracker. Look, a bear! Haha! 1 green for a 1/1 human shaman. Pay 2 and tap. Target creature control fights another target creature you control. Really nice. Control the board, fight everyone until they're bloody and covered in claw marks. Then Polukranos Unchained isn't a bear, but it's barely. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a really cool fight card. 4 mana for a 0/0. Enter the battlefield with 6 1/1 counters on it. If it escapes, put 12 1/1 counters on it. It's a pretty big Polukranos. If damage will be dealt to Polukranos until if it has a 1/1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove that many 1/1 counters from it. And you can just pay 3 mana to have it fight target creature. Awesome. Just having sort of a mini fight effect on the field, just like the tracker, is really, really good because your opponents will play around it. They'll go, I don't want to play my commander because they're just going to kill it for 2 mana or 3 mana with Polukranos. So they will not play their commander. They'll go, there's no point, and then pass the turn. So this is great to have on board. Then the escape cost, which means you can cast it from your graveyard, is 6 mana, exile 6 cards as an additional cost. Awesome. So good. And then, by God, Polukranos before he died. 4 mana for a 5/5 Hydra. Double X and green for Monstrosity X. Monstrosity basic means it fights that many creatures, they each deal damage to each other. But this is a great way of getting counts on it and just controlling the board. When it becomes monstrous, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of type creatures your opponents control. Each of those creatures dealt damage this way, deal power to... Finish reading yourself. I have fallen to pieces. And then to finish off, we've got Ram Through. 2 mana for an instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. If that creature you control has trample, which our commander does, excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. So I think the way this would work, and it makes sense that it would, because Death Touch and Trample are such cool combination. Basically what happens with Death Touch and Trample is you need to deal lethal damage with Trample to the creature before you can trample the rest over. So with Death Touch, well, lethal damage is 1. So this 10/10 Trampler with Death Touch, I'll deal 1 here. Then the rest of the 9 goes to your opponent's face. So this is a fight card, essentially, that can end up dealing tons of damage to our opponent. So a wonderful card to finish on there, especially if you're going to finish games with it. And those are my top cards. So please subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think this command is really cool, and this combination sort of aspect of this set is fantastic. I love the whole background style of things, like being able to sort of make a deck really your own. I love it. Brilliant. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.